welcome back, grade 12s. As you know, we are doing mathematics, and today our focus is on data handling and data manipulation. It's going to be such a fantastic show. I hope you guys gather all of your friends and family and watch it together, and especially because you guys are going to be writing prelims. I know that you guys are so excited and so amped for this show. Hey, Heather, over to you.
Thanks, Katlego. Okay, guys, so what we're going to be doing is data handling and manipulation of data. Now, just remember that this is the content for paper 2. And those of you who are fortunate enough to have paper 3 at your schools, quite a lot of it is in paper 3 as well. Now, can I just remind you to have your calculators ready, because a lot of what we're going to do today is going to depend on you being able to drive your calculator. Okay. All right, I've taken some questions from past papers, and I'm going to be very careful to try and point out to you the difference between the methods that we use when we've got group data and when we've got individual items of data, okay? I've also taken the liberty of, in some of the questions, I've already got the graphs done so that we're not going to waste time, and I'm just going to talk you through it so that we can try and get through as much as we possibly can. Okay, so the very first question that we are posed is the time taken to the nearest minute for a certain task to be completed was recorded on 48 occasions, and the following data was obtained. Okay, so somebody was out there was a certain task, they set a stopwatch, and on 48 different occasions, they actually worked out how long it took. Now, that's all very well, but what are we going to do with that data? How does that inform us? And we need to actually interpret it. Okay, so the first thing I need you to have a look at is that we've got intervals here. The first interval is between 11 and 15. So now notice that nobody took between 0 and 11 minutes, okay? 11 is the lowest time, 11 to 15. Notice 15 is not included in the first interval, but it is included in the second, okay? So that's continuous data. So 11 to 15, there were 6 people who recorded a time between 11 and 15 minutes. Then between 15 and 19, there were 9 people. 19 to 23, 13 people, 12 people, and 8 people. So this is actually, you can see if you take those and you add them up, you get to the total of 48. Now, what are the standard kinds of questions that they ask us? Well, the first kind of question that they ask us is to draw an ogive, all right? And I know that some people pronounce it differently, but that's how we spell it. It's an ogive, and the name for an ogive, or an alternative name, is a cumulative frequency graph. Now, because of that alternative name, it gives us a hint as to what we have to do first if we want to draw an ogive. And the very first question is to complete a cumulative frequency table. Now, for an ogive, what you need to do is you need to work out the accumulated total. So that means, let's see if we can find a nice orange here, that below 15, there are a total of 6 items of data. But below 19, there's 9 and 6, which gives me 15. So we add the 6 and the 9. Now we take that and add the 13, which gets us to 28. Now we take our 28 and our 12, which takes us to 40. And then we take our 40 and our 8, and that comes to 28. All right? So literally, we are accumulating all of the totals. So that means that there were 15 scores under 19, or there were 40 scores under 27. Okay? So the first thing we have to do, if we're going to be drawing an ogive, is we have to actually work out the cumulative frequency. Right. The next question is they want us to draw an ogive, which is our cumulative frequency curve, for the given data. Right. Now, what we need to understand when we draw an ogive is it is going to be this cumulative frequency total plotted against the end point. So in other words, 15 is the end point, So we're going to plot 15 together with a height of 6. Then we are going to plot the end point of this, which is 19, together with a height of 15. Then we are going to plot 23 together with 28. Then we are going to get 27 together with 40. And lastly, we're going to get 30 together with 48. Now, I'm being quite specific about this because some people make the mistake of using the middle of that interval. So in other words, the middle of this interval is 13. Now, you do not use 13 because below 13, there are not 6 scores. Below 17, there are not 15 scores. Below 15, there are 6 scores. So you always, guys, let's make it a little bit more clear. You use your end point, okay, together with your frequency. And you plot that onto a grid. Right, so let's have a look first of all at my grid. I've set it up so that I've got it in 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. going along the bottom. And then going up, I've got a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Right, so let's see if we can remember those points. It's going to be 15 with 6. So we're going to go 15, and then we're going to go up to 6. Now remember, 15, each one of these is up 2, so we're going to go 15 with 6. Let's see if we can get it writing nicely. 15 with 6. Okay, we just have to press quite hard. Then we have to go to the next value, which is going to be 19 with 15. So we've got to go 19 with 15. So if we go 19 is to there, and 15 is halfway up there. So 19 and 15 is going to be there. All right. Then we're going to have to go to the next one, which is 23 with 28. So 23, there's 23, and 28 is going to be there. All right. Then we're going to get to the next one, which is 27 with 40. So 27 and up to 40. All right. And lastly, our last one is going to be 30 with 48. So 30 and up to 48. Okay. Now what I need to point out here is that, can you see that our first end point was 15? Okay. So let's just get it back again. Our first end point was 15. So if we take our 15 and we join it to the next one, and then to the next one, and then to the next one, and then to the next one, that gives us our cumulative frequency curve, or our ogive. But unfortunately, you have to anchor your graph. And so if we go back, can you see that the previous actual class was 11? 11 was the end point of the previous class. So in fact, I would have 11 having 0 scores below it. So I'm going to anchor my graph at the point 11 with 0 and then join that up. Now, what a lot of maths books actually have is, instead of having this 0 to 9, can you see this piece of the graph was actually, it's not worth having. So what they even do is they start the y-axis here and they scrunch this up, and then they would actually just do something like this, which is a jagged line, and they would bring all this graph over to the left-hand side. And that's absolutely legitimate as well. Okay, so guys, what you've actually got here now is a cumulative frequency curve, or an ogive. Now, what do we use this for? Now, if we go back to our grouped data, all right, can you see we've got our grouped data? It tells us nothing, all right? All that it tells us now is how many are in each class, and that there's like 40 below 27. when we take data and we want to understand it, one of the things that we want to have a look at is the actual spread of the data and also the midpoint, okay? Or what we call about is our measure of central tendency. Now, when we have got an ogive, what we are very interested in using it for is using it to find the median. Okay. Now, our median is our middlemost score. Okay? It's not our average. It's our middlemost score. Now, notice that we have 48 scores. All right? So that means that my middlemost score is going to happen in the halfway position. So if I take 48 and I divide it by 2, I get 24. And so it's going to happen in the 24th position. And so, guys, this is your frequency. So we want to actually go to the 24th position and read it across. Now, there's 20, 22, 24. So literally what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler, you're going to draw this dotted line exactly as I'm doing, and then you are going to hit your ogive, and then you are going to read downwards to your x-axis, which is your minutes, all right? And that tells you that your middlemost score, according to this, is therefore going to be 22 minutes. So we are saying, all right, that the middlemost time taken was 22 minutes. Now, guys, just remember that when you do an ogive, this is your ogive. So they have to make sure that they give you certain leeway as far as accuracy is concerned. So for me, it looked like 22. For you, it might look like 23 or 22 and a half. They give you a certain degree of leeway. Okay, the next thing they wanted was the lower quartile. Now, guys, let's just think about the lower quartile. That has to be 25% through the data. The median is 50% through the data. The lower quartile is a quarter through the data. So literally, what are we going to do? For our lower quartile, we're going to take 48 and divide it by 4, all right, which is going to give us the 12th position, okay? And then I'm going to go to my graph, and in the 12th position, I'm going to read off my lower quartile. So literally again, I take my pen, and I'm going to take it at 12, and I'm going to read it across. All right, notice I'm taking it from the y-axis, a value of 12, and I'm going to read it across to my graph, and then I read down, and according to me, it looks like 17 and a half, okay? So that means that my lower quartile, according to me, is at 17 and a half. Likewise, they want my upper quartile. All right? Now, I'm not going to go through all of it, but remember that if my first quartile is in the 12th position, then the 24th position, my 3/4 the way is going to be in the 36th position. So again, I'm going to go to my ogive, and I'm going to go to 36. All right, easy enough. I'm at 30. I'm going to go to 36, and I'm going to take my ruler. Please, guys, put the dotted lines in. Let the examiner see where you're taking your reading. And then if I read all the way down, all right, to my x-axis, I'm getting my upper quartile, all right, to be at, let's say, 26. Okay, so equals 26. So please notice that these are the minutes for the median, the minutes for the lower quartile, and the minutes for the upper quartile. Okay, have we done what we needed to? Yes, we have. Right, the next question that they ask us is now to draw a box and whisker diagram of the data. Okay, now this, guys, you started doing in grade 10, so no excuse. You know how to do this, all right? Now, again, I've drawn a number line just so that I can go a bit quicker. Please make sure that your number line is scaled, okay? It mustn't be so sketchy that the scale is off. Now, remember that for a box and whisker, you need 5 values. You need your minimum. So what was your minimum? Do you remember the minimum was at 11? Okay? Then you need your maximum. And your maximum, if you recall from the table, was 30. Okay? So in we go, and we're going to put a 30. All right? Then we need our lower quartile in the 12th position. Don't put the number 12. It was the 12th position, but the number 17 and a half. So 17 and a half is going to be 19, 18, 17. It's kind of there, okay? Then we've got our median, which is a 22. All right? And then we've got our upper quartile, which is at 26. 23, 24, 25, 26. Okay. All right. And the middle 3 create your box, and then we create our whiskers going outwards to the left and to the right. Now, some people don't put bars on that minimum and maximum. Some people just put a point, so an enclosed point. So it's up to you which method you've been shown. Both of them are acceptable. Okay, so we've drawn the box and whisker diagram of the data. Okay, so now you're saying, all right, what more can I do with this data? Well, they could have given you exactly the same data, and instead of asking you to work with the medians and the quartiles and the box and whisker, they could have asked you to work out the other measure of central tendency, which is the mean. Okay, now guys, this is where your calculator comes in very handy. Now, please notice that it says the estimated mean time. Now, we cannot work out the exact mean time because we do not have the exact times. We're working with data, which is a bit of a mystery. We know that we've got 6 items in this category, but we don't know what they were. So what we need to do is we need to find a representative in here. And the representative that we're going to use is that middle point, not used for median, but used for mean, which is 13. Here our middle point is 17. Here our middle point is 21. Here our middle point is 25. And here our middle point is 29. And now we're going to use those middle points, and we are going to put them into our calculators. Okay, right, so let's go with our calculators. So you're going to pull up your calculator. All right, you're going to make sure that you are in stat mode, okay, and you are going to choose number 1. Okay, please notice that you must have the stat column and you must have the frequency column. If you don't have the frequency column, then what you need to do is just go back to your original and go to just the mode. No, sorry. You go back to Shift Setup and then go down and choose number 3, and it'll ask you whether you want frequency on or off. We want frequency on, okay? So now when I go into my stat and I choose number 1, which is var, I've got frequency. Okay, and that's going to allow me to put in the number 13, the number 17, then the number 21, and then 25, and then 29. So those are my numbers, okay? At the moment, it's telling me that I've got 1 of each, but I need to go back and change the frequency. I had 6 of those, and I had 9 of the next one, and I had 13 of the next, 12 of the next, and 8 of the last. Okay? Then I go clear my calculator. I go Shift Stat. And again, I choose number 4 for var. Now notice that number 2 is my x bar, and that's mean, and it tells me that my mean is 21,58. So my mean is 21,58. Okay? Now remember, it's an estimated mean. It's not the exact mean. Right. Then the next question is give the standard deviation of the times taken. Now, guys, you know that there's a quick way to do standard deviation and there's a hard or longer way. It's not that hard, it's just longer. If they don't force you to use the table, then you can just use your calculator. So if we are still in this exact, we've got our same data. If we clear that and we go back to Shift Stat, again number 4, we choose number 3. Okay, and that is going to give us the standard deviation for our data, and it tells us that it's 5,03.
Heather, can we take a break before you continue? Are you finished with the
Absolutely.
question?
No, I'm going to pull it all together, so a break is great.
Okay, cool. Let's do that.
Super.
So let's take a very quick ad break. When we do come back, we will be putting everything together, as Heather says. See you after the break, guys.